Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And with this most recent reset, double legendaries have entered the fight for patch 9.2, and a lot of specializations are a lot stronger now, being able to wear those two legendaries. And in this video, I wanted to highlight one of those specializations. I had a ton of fun playing with it, and it is the Elemental Shaman. The Elemental Shaman playing Vesper Totem is going to gain access to the Elemental Equilibrium, allowing them to do so much damage with their Vesper Totem. Their conduit scaling up to 278, seeing critical strikes upwards of 55,000, completely erasing anybody that comes across their path. In this particular composition, I played a Convoke the Spirits Balance Druid with a Necro Lord Holy Paladin, another class that's doing phenomenal with double legendary. I gave Balance Druid a run with the Dream Binder as well as the 1 minute Convoke. And the main point of this composition strategy is to have two threats that the enemy can't deal with, just a multi-pronged attack that overwhelms them from multiple sides. They have to be worried about the Convoke the Spirits. They have to be worried about this Vesper Totem KOing them. They have to worry about the Cyclones. They have to worry about the Hexes. There's just so many threats in this composition, and you will just do a lot of damage. I went up like 150 rating in no time flat. Like a lot of the games that we had were like 30 seconds long. I struggled honestly to find you a game that was like, you know, of decent substance that didn't just end almost immediately. So if you haven't tried the Elemental Shaman as a Kyrian, I would definitely recommend it right now with the double legendary, especially when you get upwards towards your 2-set tier bonus as well. But the double legendary and some high item level conduits will get you pretty far. So in this video, we are facing up against a Demonology Warlock and a Frost Mage. Demonology Warlock, also a specialization, doing terrifying amounts of damage. I'm going to be playing that specialization as well. And if you want to stay up to date with changes to the game, updates and news and stuff like that, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I bring those changes to the channel in real time. And if you'd like to join me live, twitch.tv/Supatease. But the main goal of the composition for myself here, keep dots on every target that I can and wait for my Elemental Shaman to tell me who it is that he is about to zap. And that is the target that I want to launch all of my Star Surges at. The beginning of the fight here, the Frost Mage drops an Ice Wall. This is a pretty big, dangerous threat to deal with when used properly. In this situation, not really used too properly, as none of us were really trying to do any damage. Perhaps he was trying to preempt to Convoke the Spirits. The enemy starts retreating into the back of the room. So my Shaman is lining up a Vesper Totem very far away. And my goal is to kind of root Solar Beam a target, Typhoon the targets, hold them in place so that my Elemental Shaman can get that Vesper Totem as easily as possible onto a target. So I'm going to Mass Entangle the entire team. I'm going to Solar Beam the healer, and I'm going to Incarn Convoke. This is just a distraction. I'm just sending out as much damage as I can with Convoke to distract them while my Elemental Shaman goes in with the Vesper Totem. They deal with the Vesper Totem effectively by using defensive cooldowns and crowd controlling us. So they did a really good job of shutting us down. This is something that you want to look to do if you're fighting against this type of composition. I'm surprised Elemental isn't a little bit more popular. It does struggle with melee cleaves, so I recommend you play Double Caster. Here, the enemy is launching Demon Bolts at us after the Decimating Bolts. Those are very scary when the Warlock has stacked up to 4 stacks, and you can see that below their buffs at the top left of the screen. So I want to Cyclone that Demonology Warlock. I want to start healing if I can. I want to help my team because the enemy has shot their big cooldowns with Deathborn from the Frost Mage. Frost Mage, another terrifying spec to have 2 legendaries on right now as well. Just an insane amount of burst damage. You really want to respect those cooldowns when they happen. So we're going to run away from their cooldowns the same way that they tried to disengage away from ours, because we're not going to trade well in this situation. I'm going to use Innervate. This is going to make all of my paladins healing free for the time being so we can recover through those cooldowns. I'm going to try and get into Eclipse while rotating through and stacking my Moonkin aura back up. And we're really waiting for our Convoke. We're really waiting for our Vesper Totem. This is a very much so like one turn kill OTK comp where you're just trying to just dump as much damage as you can in one moment of time. You do have these intervals with Lightning Lasso where you can Cyclone the healer, try and Lightning Lasso, knock an enemy into a bad position, burst them down with some Star Surges. That's definitely a good way to bait cooldowns and sometimes get a kill if the enemy is really far out of position. So I'm going to try and fish for a Cyclone onto the enemy healer. keep my dots up on targets while he is crowd controlled, but our Shaman is the one still not making the best trades with Icy Veins and Deathborn, so probably better to be safe than sorry. I do want to keep rotating my Eclipses. Once I've gotten to my 4-set bonus on Balanced Druid, you almost always want to shoot your Star Surges in an Eclipse because it's going to be cheaper and you're going to get more of those Star Surges, so take that into account if you're playing a Balanced Druid in the future. Both teams are kind of getting ready at this point. Vesper Totem is a threat, Convoke is a threat, and so I'm going to lock Frost, and I'm going to just dump as much damage as I can into the Frost Mage, Convoke the Spirits to get my Nia Mastery. The enemy's going to stun me, but I'm a distraction for that Vesper Totem on the other side of the tomb that almost KO'd the Mage. We got him to like 10% health or something right there. So that's why I say you're two-pronged assault. You're kind of the hand holding the distraction here with the Convoke the Spirits, while the Elemental Shaman's coming in from the backside with an uppercut Vesper Totem, and that's the way that I was playing the composition at least. This was kind of the first time I'd really got to play it with the new double legendaries, and it felt good that way. Sometimes the enemy doesn't deal with your Convoke. You get the whole Convoke off, dump a bunch of big Star Surges, and can win the game. Now that we've tried our Vesper Totem Convoke, time to go back into defense mode. So we're going to be cycloning up the Warlock, trying to punish this trinket that they're running, and we're going to Lightning Lasso the Mage, dump our Star Surges during those Lightning Lassos, dump our Star Surges during the Convoke the Spirits. If you're wondering when to do your burst damage, those are going to be your moments of highest likelihood to kill the target, which is when you want to shoot the Star Surges, because those are your kill windows. We're going to switch the Cyclone then over to the Mage and try and prevent the enemy from attacking. You can see the Warlock, every time they press Shadow Bolt, they're getting a stack. And if they get up to 4, that means those Demon Bolts are going to hit really hard. So crowd controlling the Warlock and stopping them from stacking that or resetting the stacks on that is really important. Once they've launched a Decimating Bolt and you see that they have 4 stacks, then you're looking for the little Hound debuff that's going to come out. They're going to release the Dreadstalkers. And if the Dreadstalkers connect on you, you're going to take 20% more damage from those Demon Bolts. So 4 stack plus the dogs. Yeah, you don't want to ask who let the dogs out at that point, because it's not a very nice person. You just want to get out of there as soon as possible. Here are Convokes coming off cooldown. We're likely going to be getting our Vesper Totem available as well. So I'm still just cycloning enemies, trying to get my Moonkin Aura stacked up, trying to get into Eclipse so I can start generating the most amount of astral power so I can dump a bunch of damage. So the Mage is moving into a bad position for their own team. So I cyclone the Mistweaver and we Lightning Lasso the Mage in a bad spot, dump all of our Star Surges during the Lightning Lasso. Easy peasy. That's a nice block. Keep it simple, as a wise man once told me. So that's going to get an important cooldown. And now we have our big threat. We have our Convoke the Spirits. We're going to have our Vesper Totem, and they have no block. So we're going to dump a Solar Beam onto the enemy healer with an instant Entangling Root. That's going to prevent them from healing anyone on the team. And we're just going to shove our Convoke the Spirits. It's not really expected to do too much because of a Demonology Warlock having so many pets. So I'm mostly benefiting from getting the Mastery buff from Nia. That's the 18 stack at the top of my screen. And that's going to make all my Star Surges hit harder. So we're going to get into Eclipse, we Repentance the Mistweaver, and we're swapping to the Warlock because the Mage is way too far, and we've got good crowd control, so we don't want to really kind of give up the pressure. And now we got like this Mage with no block, Monk and a Hodge, Warlock on the other pillar. We just kind of got a buffet of whoever we want to go after. We're going to go for a Cyclone on the Monk out of the Hammer of Justice. They use Life Cocoon on the Mage. Warlock still has a shield, but you know who's in the middle of the map that doesn't? The Mistweaver Monk. So if we can set up our Vesper Totem here, start stacking it up, and swap to the healer, we can completely erase them from existence without a stun, because they've already used Life Cocoon on the Mage, don't have it for themselves, probably not expecting the amount of damage because we've held them in place and crowd controlled them with 2 targets that are low outside. So we've created these distractions, 2-pronged assaults, don't know where our damage is going to go. Immediate blast onto the Mistweaver with a huge swap, and we are able to win the game, which is why this composition feels so hilariously fun to me, is the ability to switch targets and kind of play on the fly, set up these little mini goes with the Lightning Lassos, peel for your team, try and focus on defense. It's a really well-rounded composition. It's kind of giving me a little bit more faith in the Elemental Shaman. We don't see a lot of them, but set bonuses, Legendary is definitely doing them justice here, as well as a lot of other specs that I just talked about in this video. So definitely check it out, get your campaign done, get some double legendaries. Pray, I give you my best blessings that you are able to find some tier sets in your vault. And of course, I really hope the Creation Catalyst comes sooner than later, because not being able to craft those tier sets is really annoying. I'd really like to be checking out a lot of these specs and feels like I can't because I don't have them. But other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one.